Henry had his hand held out for the jab planter, but Ennis pointed at Henry's chest, and his raised voice came to her faintly. There was a distinct question to it, while Henry merely shrugged. Ennis reached for the cockade, and to Joetta's disbelieving eyes, Henry knocked his father's hand aside. Ennis dropped the planter and grabbed Henry by the arm, and Joetta set out running toward them. In the past year, Henry had certainly grown more muscular, but Ennis was still stronger and bigger, plus he had at least 20 or so more years of hard work on him. Henry struggled, twisting and turning to keep his father from getting the cockade. Joetta shouted, "Henry, stop!" Ennis ripped the cockade off and threw it on the ground. He backed Henry up against the split-rail fence, and Henry decided that was not to his liking. He began to struggle, grunting and heaving until they were battling it out, arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, straining against one another. Robert, his mouth and eyes wide with astonishment, did not move. Such a thing had never occurred. Henry, furious, yelled at his father, "You won't always be able to tell me what to do." When Joetta would think back on this scene later, she would understand it was in this moment the relationship between son and father altered. Mr. McBride, for once, appeared uneasy and began rubbing his chin nervously. The fence cracked as they strained against the top rail before splintering and giving way. They fell and rolled on the ground until Ennis abruptly let go of Henry. He shoved himself to his feet and backed away, staring at his son like he did not know him. Henry jumped up too, fighting not to cry. From embarrassment, rage, or both, Joetta was not sure. She lowered her gaze as he ran by her. Mr. McBride, hands on his hips, furiously worked his chewing tobacco from one side of his mouth to the other, his agitation plain to see. Flustered, he gestured in the direction Henry went. "I don't know if what he'd done called for all that." Joetta refused to grant him her attention. This was mostly his fault, and she went to offer Ennis comfort, except he was already in the process of getting back to the work at hand. She stood helplessly, hands by her side. Ennis pointed at Robert. "Finish up this field. Henry's going to get started on the other one." Robert was quick to obey. "Yes, sir." Mr. McBride said, "Aw, leave the boy be. He needs time alone. We talked about this. I'll handle it, and you'll stay out of it. He's getting too big to run off pouting. He's got to learn to take what he asked for, and he's going to get back to work, and that's all there is to it."